What's going on, guys, and welcome to my review of Wolfman, a film that at this point seemed a little bit cursed with me having and being able to get to go check out with all the drama and all the ramifications that was going on in my life and with me personally. I didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to check this thing out, and I finally did the other day, which makes it 2 or 3 days now, and I was finally able to get this damn thing reviewed. Just so many things going on my end. So I finally got a chance to check this thing out the other day, and the film was directed by Leigh Whannell, who's a filmmaker that I highly respect. He has fathered and wrote, produced, and starred in a few of the Saw films, which is one of my favorite franchises of all time. He's also gave us Insidious Chapter 3, which made his feature directional debut. And he also gave us Upgrade and The Invisible Man. Great filmmaker. And now, Wolfman. A modern take on the monster classic from the 1940s that centers on this family man who is forced to protect his family from a werewolf, but after he is attacked, his family soon realizes that they'll have to protect themselves from him. Rolling into this, I really wasn't expecting much, but because this thing was directed by Leigh Whannell, a very talented filmmaker that has not disappointed me once with his storytelling and just the way he writes his stuff and the way he executes everything, I had hopes, very high hopes. Well, I guess everybody's entitled to one or a few mistakes every now and then, even the great ones, but it wasn't without its perks. Starting off with the positives, I did like the family angle. I like the whole family being attacked and just going into that survival mode from this monster once they get to that house or cabin in the woods where they get to, and just going on the defense, protecting themselves from this monster and all this chaos. And I thought it made for some really tense and dark moments, which made the film pretty enjoyable, I do admit, in that sense. And that's thanks to all three of the characters, the family members that was in this, by Christopher Abbott, who was the father, the main character of this film, and Julia Garner, who plays the wife. I can't remember who the little girl's name was, but all of them was great. I thought their chemistry was spot on. And because of that, because of the chemistry, because of the connection, it just made the film all the more worthwhile. I thought they held their own, especially Christopher Abbott, especially by the middle of the second act, when everything started to go down with him. I thought he played that off really well. There's a little bit of a downfall, there's a little bit of a minor downfall with that, which I'll get into later, but I thought he did a really good job. And like I said, so did the rest of the characters, so did Julia Garner, and so did the girl that played the daughter. There was this whole thing to where they did this werewolf POV, point of view, to where when a character is turned, it pans around without getting too specific. It shows this a little bit in the trailer, but it goes deeper into the film once you watch it, but I won't give anything away. But they do this thing with the camera to where they pan around and it shows the point of view of the werewolf compared to what the humans see. And I thought that was pretty genius. I thought that marked one of Leigh Whannell's genius traits that he usually brings to his films. I thought it was really good. It's something that I've not really seen in a Lycan/werewolf film before. And I thought that was a pretty cool way in executing just the way everything is seen. Now, I wish they would come out with a film to where when a person gets bit by a zombie, I need to see their point of view, like a zombie's point of view, like somebody that's getting ready to be turned into a zombie. I need to see that too. So Leigh Whannell, do a zombie flick and make it kind of like that, and let me see what your perspective is on that as well. Because I thought the werewolf, just the whole pan around with the camera angle, showing us what a werewolf sees and what his perspective is, I thought was pretty cool. I did like that. Like I said, I thought that was pretty genius, and I thought that was a pretty smart way to present this film and what it was trying to say about the werewolves. It was just very interesting and very unique. As much as I praise the positives, unfortunately, that's all I can say that I enjoyed about this. This is, sadly, my least favorite Leigh Whannell film. Like I said, we're all entitled to a few mistakes. We're only human. Nobody sets out to make a bad movie. I understand that, and I full-heartedly believe that. But unfortunately, even for the great ones, there's going to be that kind of a bad egg, that redheaded stepchild of the family. So as we dive into the negatives, unfortunately, this felt like your basic, everyday, generic Blumhouse production film. Blumhouse has been somewhat of a hit or miss with me. Yeah, more miss than hit. And it's sad to say that this one kind of falls into that category. It just felt like one of those to where it doesn't really feel like something Leigh Whannell really did. Like, there was certain aspects of it to where his directing style came out, but it just felt like suits behind the studio just kept on butting in. I'm not sure if this is how it went down. I just didn't really get the vibe that this was a full-blown Leigh Whannell film. I just felt like that the studio execs kind of got in the way, and that happens a lot. You know, you hear horror stories basically about some film productions going into chaos because of this. But I just didn't feel like it was a full-on Leigh Whannell film, and I didn't feel like it was something that Leigh Whannell could have shown with his full potential. Specifically, there was some weird things that was being done with the dialogue to where they bring up certain themes on and off throughout the whole entire film, and it kind of feels like that they're beating you over the head with it. And at a certain point, I was getting a little nauseous of that. I was like, you said it twice already. Why are you saying it a third time? Why are you saying it a fourth time? Especially with how you lose people and the importance of family, which kind of could have paid off a lot better by the time the third act happened, but they never go back to that. It's like they wanted you to see and they wanted you to know what this film was saying, which was that, but then they just completely abandoned it later on. And that started grating on my nerves. It's like the one time, instead of shoving it all in one act, they could have just spread it around. Because by the time the third act happened, it just wasn't that impactful enough for me. Because they just abandoned that entirely and they just never go back to it. So that was a little disappointing. Next up, we have the most obvious twist ending ever involving one of the characters. I won't say which, but I saw that coming a mile away. Probably by the time the beginning of the second or the middle of the second act happened, or maybe at the end of the first act. I don't know. It was very early on, point being, and that's never good. It's something that I could very easily spot and just write the trail, like step by step, and knowing that it was going to be inevitable. And then whenever it turned out to be that thing that I thought it was, I'm like, oh yeah, really? What a shock there. That was just no shock to me whatsoever. And that's another thing that kind of puzzles me, because Leigh Whannell is usually really good at twist endings, and he's very smart about those. With this, all sorts of balls were dropped. Nothing landed, especially with that. Especially for me, anyway. And that's just very disappointing because, again, like I said, Leigh Whannell, he's been amazing with what he's done. And, again, going back to what I said about the suits may have gotten involved and it turned it into a little bit more of a company film than a filmmaker's film. That's another example of why it felt like that to me. So, yeah, another disappointing factor there. And lastly, I wasn't crazy about how they made the werewolves look, especially with the father character. Once he started changing, they looked more zombified than lichened. I understand that they were trying to go into a different way and a brand newer way. When you're a filmmaker and you're out there trying to do your own film, and especially with a classic monster like this, I understand that, but with this, it didn't look like a werewolf. It was too zombified. It was too obvious that it was not a werewolf, even though it was. And I just wasn't too crazy about that. The whole time I was scratching my head, I was like, what the hell is this? Is this a zombie movie or is this a werewolf movie? What am I watching here? But yeah, point being, I just wasn't really that crazy about this one. And again, like I said at the beginning of this review, I wasn't expecting much, but it was Leigh Whannell. But again, we're entitled to mistakes. It's all good, dude. I forgive you already. With your next film, I'm sure you'll redeem yourself. I still think you're awesome, and I still think you're kick-ass. Again, I wasn't a massive fan of this one. Aside from some positives, this was a little bit of a letdown. It's enough to catch you off guard. Well, that's it for this one, guys. What you think of Wolfman? Was this your favorite adaptation? Do you actually favor this overall? Or was this as much of a letdown for you as it was for me? Or are you mixed on it? Do you not know where you stand with this just yet? Leave me a comment down below and give me your thoughts. Thank you so much, guys, for watching and clicking here. I really do appreciate it. Like, subscribe, comment, and share. Make sure to click that bell icon as always so you don't miss a thing. And I will see you on the next one. Peace.